everyone. Welcome back to the Science Dispatch podcast. I am your host once again for the day, Anna Dolosky. I'm the video producer for the American Council on Science and Health, and we're back, if you can believe it, for another special episode of the Mom Pod Takeover, or as I like to call it, spur of the moment, the anxiety detox for moms. This is where we're just going to dish about all things that moms need to not be worried about and things they do need to pay attention. And of course, we've got the experts here on hand. Joining me as co-host today is our wonderful Desiree English. Desiree, hello. You are, of course, just to mention it again, one of our newest writers here at ACTIA. You're a high school science educator and you're most importantly a mom. And right now you are enjoying a well-deserved break at home with two little ones. How is it going?
I don't know if it's a break, but it's definitely a transition. I'm still waking up at 6:30. Breakfast still needs to get on the table. I'm still very much needed, and I still hear my name 1,000 times a day. They just call me a different name. So instead of Mrs. English, it's Mom, Mommy, Mama, some variation of that. So it is definitely a transition. I will say, luckily, we've got a good village around. So far we've been pretty busy, which is good. They need to be busy, and our yard is wonderful. So I'm just like, oh, you had your breakfast muffins that I made last night, chocolate zucchini breakfast muffins. Okay, go in the backyard.
Well, we've stolen you away for 30 minutes here, so consider this your little break from the little ones.
Talking to an adult, other women who know what it's like. What a wonderful experience.
Love it. We have a great show for everybody today. We also have a special guest on today. We're beyond thrilled to be joined by our fantastic Dr. Jess Steier from the Unbiased Science Podcast. Jess, thank you so much for coming in.
You kidding me? This is the highlight of my week. Thanks so much for having me, Anna.
You're going to steer this mom-powered ship with us today.
I'm ready.
We're glad to have both of you on today. Thank you, Desiree, for being my co-host. I do want to start out with a little bit of a serious topic. Des, you wrote an article that just went online about botulism. And it kind of stems from a recent organic formula recall. And we should say that recall was out of an abundance of caution, right? But it does bring up a very important topic, which is honey and botulism. So give us a little context as to what happened here. What do parents need to know? And how do we spot a serious issue, really?
The fun fact is that I actually had this article already written, and it was pending editing. And the main focus was actually honey and infant botulism, because honey is one of the main sources of infant botulism in the United States, right? It causes 20% of cases. Everything else is kind of random, because these bacteria spores exist everywhere. They come in contact in random ways. So the most common way we come in contact with it is through honey. However, like 3 days ago, maybe at this point, it was announced that there's been 3 cases linked to the premium formula brand Nara, and out of abundance of caution, they are doing a recall. So obviously it was pending editing, so I hopped in there and added that in and made it what it is, because it's still infant botulism. It's still causing the same thing. So at this point, there's only been 3 cases, but infant botulism is definitely it's very, very rare, but it's actually quite a scary condition, right? Because these are our babies, right? They're under 12 months. And this condition stems from them from having an immature gut and digestive system, and they have an immature immune system. So that makes them very susceptible to things like this.
Can I jump in with one thing while we're talking about this? I give you a lot of credit for tackling this. Anytime I talk about infant formula, first of all, it's such a heated topic, right? Feeding your infant it's become such a controversial thing, whether it be formula or breastfeeding, right? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And there's a new trend, and I hate to even speak this. I feel like I'm saying Beetlejuice 3 times, where parents are being told, moms in particular, that we should be making our own infant formula, which is, like, can we just say, one of the most
dangerous
things you could ever possibly do. They are so carefully developed, right, to have the right mix of things. Like if there's any sort of imbalance, it could be so dangerous for your infant. And also they're adding honey. Some people are adding honey to the formula. I know. It's just bad. It's all around bad. But yes, thank you for raising awareness.
It's absolutely insane that this is such a hot topic, because at the end of the day, like, formula has come leagues. It's leagues and miles above what it was decades ago. Okay. These scientists are working very, very hard to make it as healthy and beneficial for these children as possible. And yes, maybe it isn't as good as breast milk. I mean, what can compare to what women make naturally? But not everyone can breastfeed, and not every child can have their mother's breast milk. Okay. So why are we going to make an environment where we're going to shame someone for not being able to do something, or it's just not working? Like, there is something scientifically produced to nourish these babies for whatever situation you have going on. You adopt a baby, you can't breast milk, you have a double mastectomy, like whatever the heck the situation, or simply it's just not working. Like with my first, I did everything. I read all the books, I ate the cookies, I did the supplements, and for some reason, I did not produce enough milk.
Yeah.
I felt, and I had the internet tell me I was failing, and I felt like I was failing.
Totally.
And
sorry. Go on.
Yeah, and we ended up having to supplement.
Yep.
So he ate as much breast milk as I was able to make, and then we supplemented. And he is happy, healthy, very, very smart. And like the fact that someone made me feel bad about myself as a new mom, which is already like horrific stage of life, like being a new mom, like there's just so much, like the hormone drop, like there's just so much going on. The fact that someone made me feel bad about that is just, it's out of this world.
It's maddening. And I know we have a lot of ground to cover. Last thing I'll say, if I can, is just that, to your point, I mean, there are incredible lactation consultants who can help, and I agree, like, we need to, make those services available, resources available to moms. But to your point, sometimes you do all the things and it still doesn't work. And also, candidly, like, sometimes there are people who it's not for them, like, for whatever reason, maybe it's triggering anxiety or depression or whatever it may be, and you want to be a happy mother because that, right, like, happy mom, happy baby. So just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Listen, of all the hats that moms and parents wear, like, making my born is not another award I want to have, right? Like, there's some things you just need to leave to the experts, okay? Yep. But back to the honey quick, I'm so curious because many parents always hear never give honey to babies under 1. But then I wonder about like honey, foods containing honey, right? Like maybe baked goods or processed foods. What is that recommendation?
So they shouldn't have any honey, because even though if something is baked, so the way it works is the bacteria spores, and I'm going to try and say this bacterial scientific name because
no pressure.
It is, hold on, I always tell my students, I'm like, if you become a doctor or some sort of specialist and you pronounce something the way I did and you get told it's wrong, I am so sorry. So Colostrum botulism bacteria spores. Okay, so these are very, very hardy. These spores they're essentially dormant bacteria. They're basically in hibernation until they get into the right environment where they can thrive. Now, cooking the product, the honey, in a baked good or something, it doesn't actually take care of those spores, right? They're still there. They're still dormant. They're just waiting to wake up. Okay, so their stomachs aren't really meant to handle certain things like that yet. So they're not developing like acid the way like adult stomachs are, or like older children's stomachs are. And then they don't have the gut fauna, if you will, the bacteria in their gut to like compete with that. So when these bacterial spores hit the digestive tract, it's warm, there's not a lot of oxygen, and that's just the perfect environment for these spores to wake up and start producing a neurotoxin. And this neurotoxin causes the baby's muscles to not be able to communicate, right? So there's no acetylcholine being produced, so there's no message being sent. And this can lead to the main symptoms to look for are going to be constipation, difficulties sucking or feeding, which is horrible for a baby. Like, that's how they eat. They can't do it any other way. Droopy eyelids, a weakened cry, muscle stiffness, and like their necks will start to get floppy. And then of course, difficulty breathing, which is one of the more severe symptoms. So it's kind of intense. It's poor babies.
So, yeah, I mean, you wrote a very nice article on it. It's one of your latest. In fact, it just came up this morning. So please go check that out and just to learn more about it. But rule of thumb, no honey before the age of 1. That's correct. Jess, I want to kind of pivot to something. By the way, you know I love you. I watch everything you do online like a hawk. So I really appreciate you. You put out this very comprehensive informational carousel on Instagram, if you will. And it's all about pesticides. And I know you said there's more coming. And it's just, if I could send it to every parent and mom that I know, I would. In fact, I'm going to get on it right after we finish this podcast. But this stems from questions that you are getting from moms, from parents, from people about pesticides in our foods. And it prompted you to sort of like put this out there, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. I mean, this has got to be one of the most common questions we get, messages we get is, am I poisoning my children by feeding them produce that's sprayed with pesticides? And there are so many different facets to this, right? There are people assuming that organic produce is pesticide free, when of course it is not. It just uses organic pesticides. Then people make the label, are an organic pesticide safer for us and also better for the environment? You can't make those blanket statements. There are so many pesticides that fall under conventional and under organic. Sometimes with organic, you have to actually use more of it to be effective, which can actually make it more harmful to the environment. So there's all that stuff. And then there was just recently something that went viral about Driscoll's strawberries. I guess there was a mom, I don't want to butcher this, but I think a mom blogger, I want to say it was Momavation, if I'm not mistaken, who put out this big, scary, groundbreaking report that our Driscoll's strawberries are covered in pesticides, and it caused all this panic. And we must have received hundreds, if not thousands, of messages from parents who were like, this is the scariest thing ever. So we took a look at what they actually did. What did they test? They tested 2 cartons of strawberries, 1 conventional, 1 organic. That was it. And spoiler alert, that's not a study. No. But even putting that aside, so we looked at the data, crunched the numbers. We partnered with a brilliant toxicologist, Dr. Joe Zagorski, and we found that you would have to eat 123 pounds of strawberries every day for the rest of your life to meet a risk threshold where the amount of pesticides you'd be exposed to would be harmful. And that's with all these safety buffers in place. And so what scares people with these reports is that, if you're going to test for pesticides, our produce is sprayed with pesticides. If you test for it, they're going to be present, but the dose makes the poison, right? And so, again, unless you're eating 123 pounds of strawberries every day, we don't need to worry.
That might be possible with my children.
I know, my berry bill is insane.
True. Berry bill is intense. But do you know that you'd actually get sick and die sooner from vitamin C toxicity before the pesticides, cause you any trouble? And the last thing...
honestly, they might just get dehydrated from having a runny butt after eating that many strawberries.
Runny butt. There you go. But
I'm not supposed to say that on a podcast.
No, I love it. I love it. But also, it's what was I going to say about? I was going to say one other thing about the pesticides. Sorry. I can't remember. I lost my train of thought. Okay. I hope it comes back to me.
Ruined your groove.
No, that's okay.
So what can we do about it? Here I am. I'm a parent. My kids are eating 100 pounds worth of strawberries a day and raspberries. Am I washing them? Am I using special soap? What am I doing?
No special soap needed. Just rinse your berries underneath your faucet. We're talking trace levels of pesticides. And a reminder that we use pesticides for a reason. If we didn't use pesticides, we would have no food supply, right? We have to think about the majority of Americans don't have farm stands, and they are going to the grocery store to buy their produce. And so I've talked to many farmers, by the way, who say, pesticides actually cost us a lot of money. So we're going to use the minimum amount necessary to protect our crops. And the amount that's present on on our produce, strawberries, all other fruits, is so minuscule. We really don't need to be worried about it. But if you are, just rinsing your fruit is fine. And just focus on getting your kids to eat fruits and veggies. Like, that's the bigger issue.
Right. Don't throw them away. Make them eat it.
Right.
You're saying there's more parts to this story coming. I'm curious, is it important for you to answer listeners, viewers' questions who come to you? You say you get hundreds of these. Why is it so important for you to answer their concerns?
If I could answer every single one, I would. Unfortunately, I can't. But at the heart of this is I'm seeing a lot of people, it's not trolls. The majority of people, these are just parents or people who are trying to make the best decisions, and they're so scared. I love that you use the term anxiety detox. The content that's coming out that we're all being flooded with, it's all fear mongering. It's scary. It's blaming us and shaming us and telling us we're poisoning our kids. The reality just couldn't be further from the truth. So it is important for me to answer those questions, especially when we're talking about these, terrified messages from parents in particular. There's nothing more heartbreaking than that.
And I think, you hit the nail on the head when you say there's so much misinformation out there that I feel like are we losing the battle a little bit here with the vitamin K shot? Because that is such a hot, intense topic right now that I feel like so many worried parents who mean no harm to their children may be falling for this trap and this misinformation jungle online. You were just telling me before we got on the podcast, you're hearing a lot of somber news from doctors. What is going on?
This is one of the most deeply troubling things I've heard. There was a great piece that came out, I don't know if you saw it recently, out of ProPublica. It was called "Babies Are Bleeding to Death as Parents Reject a Vitamin Shot Given at Birth." For starters, I think people get confused that this is a vaccine when it's not a vaccine, even though, of course, if it was a vaccine, I don't think that's a bad thing either, but it's not a vaccine. It's just a vitamin that helps your baby's blood clot. They're very susceptible to these terrible, bleeding disorders. And yeah, Anna, I just had a friend of mine who's an emergency physician say he just had his first infant mortality, a case of a child who did not receive the shot at birth. And this was a completely preventable death. And I get that parents are trying to do, it seems like, oh my gosh, my little baby was just born and you're telling me I have to, put a needle in it and give it these things. But we've learned so much. Think about all the babies that died before we had this shot, and now we have this way to prevent it. Sorry, Desiree, you were going to say something.
The stats on the babies that died before the vitamin K shot were so disheartening. It was so disheartening because I wrote an article on this as well, and so I was doing my research, and I'm like, how can someone who is supposed to be kind and compassionate and care about babies and want to be giving good information say not do this? I don't understand, because the survival rate of vitamin K deficiency bleeding has skyrocketed since it became standard practice across most of the world, I believe. And a shot, it's a shot. It's literally a delivery method. It's a vitamin that is injected into the muscles, and that helps push it throughout the body in the most effective way. That's it. It's a vitamin, and it can keep them from bleeding to death. I don't understand.
A lot of the fear mongering, the posts that I'm seeing on social media, it's and this is why it's so hard for me. I have to remind myself, the mom who doesn't get her infant the vitamin K shot, she thinks she's making the right decision. It's so unfortunate that she's exposed to these posts that are saying it's unnecessary, it's dangerous, and people saying, oh, you could just give your baby a supplement. No, it gets broken down in the stomach. It is not as effective. This is the most effective way, by far, to protect your baby. So it's our algorithms are, those people's algorithms are not doing them any favors. It's so heartbreaking.
I always say, if you're going to listen to any wellness influencer, listen to your primary care physician.
Yep.
She is your literal wellness influencer that has the ability to influence you with the actual evidence and science so that you can make the most informed decisions about yourself, about your children. Gosh, I mean, it's just, like Desiree, you just said, it's disheartening because we're not losing this war, right? I mean, you are putting information out there that's going to help, and you're pushing the algorithm a certain way too. I mean, you're obviously have a big influence online, so that's got to be a very important part of your job.
100%. I think the tricky thing is that we are up against an algorithm that rewards really strong emotional responses, very concrete, like all good, all bad statements, and those things tend to go more viral than the more nuanced takes that we give, from the scientific community. So we are definitely, in an attention economy, and for many of us who work in health science, like, that's not something that we had on our radar when we trained. And so I think we need to start borrowing from other disciplines like PR and marketing and comms and figure out ways to like really, really flood the algorithm.
Because you see online, like people will say, why are doctors all of a sudden on social media?
Yep.
Well, because that is where you're going to get your medical information. So guess what? You've kind of like driven us to this point. You've pushed us into this realm.
Yeah.
And there truly are some amazing doctors on social media, like amazing ones. I remember as soon as I got pregnant with my first, babies after 35 started being pushed to me, and I love her. And having the science background that I do, like I must have watched like most of her videos when I got pregnant, and I just learned so much, and that she honestly really helped me kind of see, because I wasn't really on social media before then, and like I got pregnant and I was seeing all this baby stuff, how much of it was false and inaccurate, and those people were all selling things. Surprise, surprise. And it's very helpful when you can find someone, and then once you follow them, then other awesome accounts start popping up, right? But all it takes is watching someone saying something dumb on the internet, and all of a sudden, like that algorithm, like we were talking about last time, goes, oh, you watched this, so we're going to show you other of that stuff. And it's definitely crazy to see how you can get wrapped up in that loop because of a digital program goes, oh, okay, we're going to show her other things like this. And you can just go deeper and deeper into the nonsense well.
I think it's a blessing and a curse. Like, I'm the video producer for the American Council on Science and Health. So in part, what I do is a lot of myth busting. I also have to do a little bit of research of like, okay, what are other influencers putting out there that's just absolutely insane that we can then come in with our experts and cover. So naturally, it's amazing how quickly your algorithm will sort of flip and then show you more of that ridiculousness. But working for ACTIA, obviously I can sort of separate the facts from, the hype from the facts too. And so I feel like I have a leg up as a mom because I'm able to like step back and be like, all right, hold on a minute. This is what I know to be true. This is what's going on. So in a way, the algorithm can be a blessing and a curse. But for moms and parents out there who maybe don't have the insight and don't have, experts like us here and you, Jess, to sort of be like, well, hold on, hang on a second. They can easily get wrapped into that mindset of going down the rabbit hole and then finding out things and information that's just not true. And it is a really scary time, I feel, to be on social media. Would you agree?
Yeah. It's such a double-edged sword, right? Like it could be such a powerful tool for good, but my gosh, there's a lot of rubbish out there. So thank you for the work that you do, both of you. I mean, absolutely. We're fighting the algorithm.
Desiree, you and I were laughing the other day. I think we're something people might call evidence-based moms.
Yes.
And we joked about that. And I said, wow, there's now, have you heard this, Jess? There's now a term for people who like can actually like speak to the science and make decisions for their children based on actual factual medical information. We're evidence-based moms. What's your take on that?
I love that. We are evidence evidence-based moms. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, let's make that a thing. We got to make that go viral and wear it as a badge of honor.
I was a little hesitant because I'm like, why do we need to have a term for something that you should already be doing?
Well, and I looked up all the terms, and there's so many ones. Most common are like the crunchy and the silky moms, and I'm like,
yeah,
I've never heard of the silky mom. What is that?
So that is like just like that's just your typical like standard mom. Like you're doing the best that you can.
Oh, a standard mom.
Your kids do a little bit of screen time. You want them outside playing, but you're not going like full on holistic.
Yeah. I like that. I just wrote a piece, it feels like such a shameless plug, but it's all about how, like, what was the title of it was Nature is my hobby, not my medicine, I think is what I ultimately went with.
Not my doctor.
Or not my doctor, thank you.
I watch you. I watch you.
God, I love you. But the takeaway from that is, like, I think people also fall, like, victim to this false dichotomy that you're either all crunchy and, like, anti-science or all pro-science and you don't have any crunchy tendencies. And I think we got to get away from that thinking. Like, you can still be a person who maybe take some supplements, even though I don't think that they're typically not necessary. But as long as you're doing the evidence-based things and it's not subtracting the good stuff, like the vaccinations and the preventative medicine and the fluoride from your toothpaste and all that stuff, then I don't see it as a problem. And I think if we do make it a very firm division, then we're going to push those people away and we're losing a very important audience.
I'm curious, do you practice what you preach on that, Jess? Like, how do you navigate that as a mom?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? Because I'm sure you see so much, and maybe your kids come with things that they want to try, and you go, well, that's not for us.
Totally.
Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, there are some things that I wrote about it, like I'll make my own oat milk, because, I mean, for me, it's mainly a cost issue. Those are not expensive cartons of milk that my son, who's lactose intolerant, just runs through. But I'm doing it, like, I guess that seems crunchy. I'm not doing it to avoid the gums and the emulsifiers that people are the ingredients that people are scared of. So it's like I'm doing these crunchy things, but not for the reasons that people are putting out there. And we'll do things like we'll put our hands in the dirt and we'll garden, we'll grow herbs, and we're doing that stuff. I don't think the herbs are a replacement for medicine or medical treatment. I enjoy them. I enjoy growing my own things. So it's a balance.
Sure. I think that's fascinating because, I think so many people feel like they have to live in one realm versus the other. And I think you should in things that matter, like you mentioned, vaccines and preventative things. Go ahead.
Can I make one admission? And I don't often admit this, and I'm probably people are going to come for us. But like, I'm someone who looks at the data and I know, like, zinc, for example, if you're sick, there's some evidence that maybe taking it early could reduce the duration of your illness. By the way, far less evidence for vitamin C, which I think most people think, like, I gotta reach for vitamin C. But even still, like, if I get a tickle in my throat, I will occasionally take a zinc supplement. And it's like, so there, I am almost like, am I being non-evidence-based? But again, it's because there's maybe some evidence. I know it's not going to harm me. I don't take any medicine that zinc would, interfere with or anything like that. But there are all those things that, like, some people don't realize, like, oh, you're taking a turmeric supplement? Do you know that could lead to liver toxicity? Or this medicine can interfere with your this supplement can interfere with this medication you're taking or your birth control. So, like, there are all these considerations that I'm able to sort of do my own calculation in my head, but I wonder if others have that full picture, when they're weighing options.
Well, I think it's also like you just mentioned turmeric. Like, have you ever heard anybody being deficient in turmeric? I mean, I think it's it's a balance of what your body needs versus what are you taking a supplement because you feel like you need it or you benefits that nobody else is privy to but you. And be careful because that is absolutely, we just recently covered that as well. And I hate to keep saying that, but really we're on it. We're on these topics and we're onto these falsehoods that taking a turmeric supplement in high doses is beneficial because wait a minute, there's a lot of adverse effects to that. So I think at the end of the day, like you're saying, taking a zinc supplement when you're feeling something coming on, hey, it's all about balance. And so is screen time. Des, you mentioned that earlier. We are in summer break, right? Like there's only so much that we can do with our children. And we've talked about not packing their schedules and sort of letting them be bored, letting them figure it out on their own. We don't have to schedule every single activity. And part of that just means, hey, if they want to watch some TV, if they want to have a little bit of a screen, like that's okay. Unstructured playtime is okay. Jess, I'm so curious with your background, how you think unstructured play plays into like emotional regulation. Is there anything to that you've seen?
I'd have to really dig into the literature on it, but I mean, I love the idea of what you're saying. Like, we should let our kids be a little bit bored and figure out things, right? They could develop creative strategies. Like, that's important, right? We don't have to fill every single second of their day. And to your point about screens, like, absolutely. Do I think my kid should be on the screen for like multiple hours a day every single day? No, but sometimes I need a break. There are also certain programs that they could be playing with on their iPad, for example, that maybe like are entertaining for them, but also educational. Like, it doesn't have to be this absolute
all or nothing,
right? All or nothing. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm seeing, so I'm, like I said, I'm a high school teacher, right? And I'm looking at these kids and their schedules are crazy. Like, they're like, I have this, I'm not going to come till 9 o'clock, and I have to do it. They're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do my homework, and I don't assign a lot of homework. But like, if I did, like, I honestly have no clue when these kids would do that. And my son's in TK, and I'm sitting at the pickup line or drop-off line or whatever at school, and they're talking about their kids' schedules, and I'm like, why? I mean, yes, my son has swimming, and he has ninja classes, but that's like 2 activities a week, and some of these kids have something every single day. And I'm like, it's so good for their brains to just be released into an environment and say, figure it out. It also makes them a little bit less dependent on us for entertainment. Right? I mean, it did lead to my kids being in the backyard soaking wet by like 8 a.m., which was super fun this morning. I'm like, I just put you in these clothes and I need to change you again.
You have to be accepting of that. You have to accept the chaos.
It's summer. It's summer. It is just, we're running on vibes at this point already.
Surviving, not thriving. Yes.
So that leads to a good, as we're talking about this anxiety detox and sort of wrapping up the show here, Jess, I'm putting you on the spot again, but what's like, do you have any advice for moms who, it's summer, the kids are wild, we might be getting into our social media a little more and sort of falling for the trap of misinformation? What's one advice you could give moms as far as how to look for correct and accurate information? Maybe some don't follow you. So what's one thing they should look out for when they're picking and choosing who to follow, who to listen to, other than their primary care physician, of course?
Love that disclaimer. I mean, I think a good rule of thumb is if anyone is making a very strong absolute statement about anything, like you must do this or you can't do that, I would like proceed with caution, right? This overly simplified messaging, especially if you walk away from a post feeling guilty or scared, like you have a very strong emotional reaction, before you actually like process that and let it get to you or share it, like take a beat and just like say, maybe this is not accurate information, and you want to find your like a science communicator who you like their vibe, you like the way that they communicate, you trust them, maybe they have appropriate credentials to be talking about health and science topics, they are not speaking out against the major medical and scientific organizations that represent the consensus in this country, right? So some of those are like red flags and guidance I'd give. Yeah.
I love that. Des, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I always just, I listen to what they say, and they usually just make me feel icky. Like, they make me feel bad about myself or something. And then I'm like, no, that's can't be true. And that's their goal, right? Is to make you feel bad about yourself and then go, okay, well, what can I do differently? And then you look at their other stuff, right? And mine isn't as like scientific as that. But once someone makes me feel like bad about something that's pretty standard, then I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I need to block this person. That's probably when I do my research on what silly things people are saying. I should probably go to my block list because I'm sure there's tons of good. That's probably why I've been trying to do my research on what things people are saying on the internet, and I can't find anything.
Oh, well, listen, I think you and more moms need to follow Jess. Jess, where can we find you online? Tell us.
Oh my gosh, I love you so much, Anna. Thank you so much. So Unbiased Science, we're on all the different platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Threads. We have a Substack where we do long form content. We have a weekly podcast that airs every Wednesday. And we have this incredible multidisciplinary team of scientists, of clinicians. And honestly, we understand that everyone's just trying to do the best with the information that they have. And so what we do is we just try to give you the best available evidence so that you could navigate the decisions that you're making for yourself and your family.
Beautiful. Thank you. Hey, we want to give a huge thank you to all of you listeners out there. Be sure to follow Jess. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at ACSH Science and YouTube, ACSH on TV. Of course, we're on Facebook and X as well. We're getting on Substack too. We often talk about how many more platforms can we get on. We're stretched thin, but it's like sometimes you got to cover your ground. So
meet people where they are.
Our hope, at least here, is to continue to get together occasionally and cover topics that parents and moms care about. So if there's anything you'd like us to cover, please send us a DM. We're happy to get our experts on, maybe even Jess, and we'll talk about it. There's really nothing we're afraid to talk about. So again, we appreciate you being here and giving us a chance. And we'll hope to see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.